I've got to send Dominique his stone back pretty soon. So I wanted to get a little more use on it before I did that. This is the Kyoto oil stone, 150 grit. According to Dom, this is made by Mr. Imanishi. They were sitting in his basement until Chef Knives to Go picked them up and sold them on their website for, I guess, a month or two before they ran out of stock. I'm going to try this with Maxamet and also D2. I just want to see if this can cut Maxamet. So I've got the edge pretty dulled up. Being 150 grit, I'm pretty sure it will. That's good. Break the tip. Well, it's getting scratches. That's a good sign. I did condition this stone with 90 grit silicon carbide powder. As you can see, the water's just going right through it. Looks like I've almost apexed in every spot except for a few little random places here and there. So I'm going to do about 10 more passes on each side, and then we'll check the edge. As far as pressure goes, I'm putting a little bit more than my hand weight down, but not much. So there is an edge there, though it's not perfect. Next up, I'm going to give D2 a try. This is a Brous Bionic XL. This is D2 steel. This feels totally different on the stone than that Maxamet. That Maxamet felt like it was just gliding. This one I can actually feel some abrasion occurring. Looking under light, I don't see any reflection on the edge. So we've pretty much, except for the very tip, pretty much made the apex already. Well, we're right on top of it. I can see some little floaties on the stone here. Oh, that's got a nasty burr. That burr kind of just popped up on me. This is the Pride Abrasive 600 grit. I'm going to have a video of the microscopic edge showing the D2 and the Maxamet. The Maxamet's pretty chewed up. It's It's what a lot of people describe when they go to sharpen this steel. I'm not going to sharpen that knife on any more of these alumina oxide stones. I'm going to go back to my silicon carbide, redo that edge, and then show another picture of the edge because it's chewed up. It's pretty bad. And the reason being, just wrong stones for the job. However, D2 looked just fine, so I'm going to keep on with it. So this is 600 grit fried abrasives. I may go ahead and take the Maxamet to this stone too, just to see what happens. And show you guys what the edge looks like afterwards. This stone is friable. It releases grit. Now the first time I used this stone, kind of gave it a bad rap because it is friable. In all honesty, most lower grit stones are. The Nanowa 600, the Sharpening Pro 320, the Sahira Serax 700 grit, they all get a little muddy. So I had higher expectations for this stone. I was thinking more along the lines of, say, Sharpening Glass or Sharpening Pro, and I shouldn't have. I really need to just look at it for what it is, and based upon that, the stone is just fine. I've already had a burr on the other side. I got one on this side now, except at the tip. It is a fast stone, and the mud's not, the mud's more of a sand, like a sand density. So there's really nothing at all wrong with this stone. Same for the 1K. Alright, full burr on both sides. What I think I'm going to do is go ahead and get a 6K like I was planning on. See how it behaves. Check the polish on it. I would really like to sing the praises of Pride because they are made here in the US. But it seems like every US waterstone I've ever used, Norton, RH Prada, those sharpening supply stones that are stamped with that company name, they all seem to have a coarser abrasive than what the grit rating states. They all seem to be very friable, and they seem to wear fairly quickly. At least in this one. At least with this one. It's not quite as friable as those others. And it has a little harder density to it. So I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt and give that the 6K a shot and see how it performs. This edge is done on the 600 grit. I'll do some microscope pictures. And just for shits and giggles, we'll go ahead and try the Maxamet on this stone also. Like I said, because the stone is friable, it should be able to cut this steel. Now, whether it makes the edge jagged, that's going to be another story. I can already see some of the burr where it's broken off on the stone, floating around. There's another little piece of it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and generate an actual slurry on this stone to see if I can help get this apex squared away. What this will do is this will get the mud and the grit in the slurry and have it right across the apex and help plow it down and eliminate some of this burr, as well as round things out just a little bit. So the characteristics of a friable stone that I don't like is what I'm actually trying to promote to sharpen this Maxamet. And I can see a few little spots that's got burrs and chips in the edge. So I'm going to stop here. We'll go ahead and look at it under the microscope, and then I'm going to take this back to silicon carbide and get this fixed up. So that Maxamet, some of the edge cleaned up, but the rest of it still pretty chewed up. So as I said, I'm going to get that fixed on another stone. I'm not going to take it to any more of these aluminum oxide. And this is the Pride Abrasive 1000 grit. And I really like this stone. I like the way it feels. I like the way it cuts. No pressure is needed. Just put the knife on and run it across and let it do its thing. And you will see results quick. I went ahead and cleaned off the stone. This side of the bevel was looking kind of funny. And tonight I'm just going to strop on white compound. It's got a nice 1K finish. And I'll do a final microscope shot of the stropped edge. Alright, for those of you wanting to see this Maxamet get repaired, that's what we're going to do now. I may have to run this edge across the stone a couple more times to get all that damage out. We'll see what happens. Hopefully you can see in the microscope shots that where those big lumps were taken out, the silicon carbide pretty much fixed them, but those lumps are still showing a little bit because of how much damage was there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the edge off one more time, and hopefully once I apex this time, everything will be back even. Now when I look under the microscope this go around, I'm going to be trying to make sure the bevel height is the same. Alright, the bevel height looks good. Much better than it was before. The apex looked a little gnarly, but I'm not worried about that. That was a 240 grit silicon carbide. It's always going to look gnarly. The 1K here should start cleaning that up quite a bit, and then the 2500 grit will really clean it up. My goal here is not to form a burr now, just to reach the apex. So the apex is still a little gnarly in a few spots, but it will work itself out, don't worry. It looks a hell of a lot better than it did with that aluminum oxide, I'll tell you that. You gotta use the right stones when you sharpen this steel. Otherwise, you saw what happened. It'll cause you a big old headache. I'm thinking about getting another one of these knives. I've sharpened away so much of this one. I can actually see the shape, blade shape has changed. Alright, that looked 100% better. I'm not going to get silly with stropping. This is just CBN emulsion 2 micron. And that insert I had while stropping was the magnified edge after the strop. That is much better. Much, much better. One more sharpening will probably get everything back in alignment. Again, when you sharpen this steel, make sure you use the proper stones, be it diamond, CBN, or in my case, silicon carbide. If you use aluminum oxide, your apex is just going to flake off and cause all kinds of damage, as you guys saw. But if you use the appropriate abrasive, it can get wicked sharp, take a fairly nice polish, and stay that way for a really, really long time. Appreciate you guys watching. If y'all have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below. Y'all have a good one.